bookings.edu. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now you look at the statistics, what it's saying right now. Now, don't tell me this isn't alarming for those people that this is a group of people. Okay. If you heard it, just take the word white out of there. If you heard that these statistics by the age, where are they here? Hold on a second. I gotta bring it. Here we go. By the year 2020, which is already passed, okay, under the age of 18, they became a minority. By 2027, in between 18 and 29 years of age, that's when they'll become a minority. In between the year 2033, between the ages of 30 and 39, that's when white will then, and this is in Western civilization, will become a minority. By the year 2050, in between the ages of 50 to 59, that's when they're going to become a major minority. And by anything after 2060, 60 plus, at the age of 60 plus, they will become a severe minority. That is literally snuffing out a certain demographic group.
When you say minority, are you talking about like bringing it down to black numbers, or are you talking about bringing it down to like?
What do you mean bringing it? There's more black people in the world than there are white. Are you kidding?
I mean, in America.
No, I'm talking about globally. I'm not talking about just in America. I'm talking about globally. This is all global. What does it matter? Okay, my question is, see, this is the exact same thing that I'm talking about. Why is it that you seem to have this you're just zoning in on North America about the black people and how many people are black in North America, when you can go literally anywhere else in the goddamn world and you overtake white people. The black people overtake white people easily. It doesn't make sense.
But don't you hold more landmass? Of course, you got Germany.
No,
UK,
absolutely
Russia,
not. Absolutely not.
All majority
absolutely
white countries. All majority white countries. So you hold more whole countries than these demographics you talk about. If you want to talk about black, you got Africa. If you want to talk about Hispanic, you got like quite a few other places. But white has more landmass than any other race on earth.
That's not true at all.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
What?
There's majority
What?
There's the majority white in more countries in the world than any other race on the planet.
No, dude, the white people take up 10% right now. Less than 10%. Are you joking?
Okay.
Are you kidding?
Oh, so are you okay? You look at Asia, right? You look at Asia. You got China, you got Chinese, Japan, Korean, Vietnamese, Thailand, Filipinos, and
Africa.
No, I'm talking Asian. If you wanted to talk
Asian,
about that,
okay.
yeah.
India's part of Asia.
About who holds more countries? White people hold more countries than any other race on the planet.
Hold in what way?
You hold almost all continents, man. If you think about it, Russia majority white, correct?
No, we don't hold most countries. What are you talking about? If you're looking at the population,
you hold more countries.
No, we don't, dude. No, yeah, we actually do not. Are you kidding?
No.
How many countries are there in the world right now? Let's start off with the basics. How many countries are there in the world?
Well, anyway,
hey, so you don't know the answer. You're coming up with something and you don't even know the answer to a simple question.
No, I'm not coming up with anything. I studied this in Homeland Security.
Okay, Homeland Security, then you should know then damn well how many countries are in the world. How many countries are in the world right now?
I don't know, man, a lot.
Well, but you're Homeland Security. You should know these things.
Yeah, but no, I'm just telling you, like, I'm basing on fact. I didn't pull these statistics out of my head. They're real. And
okay, so let me ask you a question.
So I just jumped in because you said something about genocide. I'm like, with that obscene amount of influence and wealth and power, you will come second to none. Probably never.
That's not true. That's the problem. Is that how do you possibly explain?
Okay,
hold on. Let me finish what I'm saying here, Yancey. How do you explain a 35% worldwide back in the early 1900s and to a decline of less than 10% in just over 100 years? You're calling that power? Or you're calling that like, what do you call that? What's the reasoning for that?
If you honestly feel like y'all facing some sort of genocide, so I guess you.
I'm just asking you. You can't answer it. You just now you're going to go out with your feelings. I'm asking for direct facts. How do you explain that?
That's a decent question, man. But I wouldn't. Genocide is not the word, though. I just think.
Okay, so I just used the genocide because a lot of people don't like listening or hearing that word, which is fine. I'm okay with that. I'm just asking a simple question. If it was any other ethnic group out there in the world, would you be concerned?
Well, I'm not. I have compassion for everybody on this planet. Let's start there.
So do I. Yeah, so do I.
Let's start there. So with that said, yeah, of course I would be concerned, but I just wanted to pose the question, because I mean you might have some validity in what you say outside of using the word genocide. I get what you mean. Your numbers are shrinking in a dramatic fashion. Okay, with that said, I just wanted to pose the question of, but does it matter if you still got you're not shrinking as fast as you say you are, but you still haven't.
We're not shrinking as fast as I say I am.
Yeah,
you want to go to? Why don't you go to Brookings.edu and find out? Go to Brookings.edu and find out. It's not just a little Pox page, man. You can go there and look at all the statistics. It shows you it's what they're projecting that's going to happen if we stay on the main course we've been staying on for the past 100 years. Yes, and it's actually ramping up even faster. Now, whether it's because of childbirth rates, or whether it's because of food or obesity or some sort of, I don't even know what the reasoning behind it is, or if it's because of this diversity that they're jamming down everybody's throat, saying if you want to be diverse, accept BL, accept. I mean, people are accepting to other people, absolutely. But I think we should actually distinguish culture. That's where I draw the line. I mean, I don't want everyone, and I imagine most of you would probably would agree with me. When you move and go away on vacation somewhere, you don't want to sit there and see the exact same thing you see at home, right? That's ridiculous. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants to all be the same. We want to be treated the same, but nobody wants to all be the same. We all want to have different cultures. We all want to have different ethnicities. That right there in myself is when you come together and be inclusive. That's inclusiveness. That has nothing to do with forcing a certain demographic group to be acceptance of changing everything about themselves and who they are and kill. And in my opinion, it's killing them off when we have these abortion topics that are coming up only in Western civilization. Anywhere else, they're not even fucking having these conversations at all. Not to the effect we're having here. You know, the type of shit that's happening to Western civilization, in my opinion, is a genocide. Whether you like to look at it that way or not, it actually is a genocide.
All right, hey, thanks for having me up, man. I just wanted to pose, alternative point of view on that, but I might hold some validity, and I can't argue whether you feel the way you feel. I just can't see like it being a level of concern that I would even use the metaphor of genocide, because you're not losing any strength. You're incredibly strong still, and I don't think you have any competition. So
it's not about no. See, the thing is, I'm not trying to flex. It's not about a flexation, not at all. It isn't.
Yeah.
I mean, again, anybody talks about white in any sentence, you're either a racist or you're an apologetic. There's no gray area in this anymore. I mean, we literally weaponized the word white. And if you defend anybody, if you defend the word white, you then become a you become a racist yourself, white supremacist, because you're defending the word white. I mean, you have to agree that this is, in this day and age, that's where we're at, especially in Western civilization. Anywhere else in the world.
Yeah, the line does seem to be very thin. I agree with that.
Absolutely.
And it's weird though, man. I used to have back in Georgia, they used to do the KKK rallies, and some people would be out there, white power, our numbers, we're losing our bloodline, and then there would be good old boys out there with just rebel flags, like, listen, man, I'm just supporting the South. So the line was always super thin, and it just gets murky in there somewhere. Yeah. But it does
get murky. It absolutely does.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, thanks for coming in, Yancy. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
I wanted to ask you a question, but
oh yeah,
go ahead.
my dear brother Yancy, where do you get the information from that white people was
Hey, Mark.
in America?
Your wife wants you to mod her, please.
Okay.
Where exactly did you get your information that white people are the majority in the world?
I'm speaking on landmass, like countries, like so continents. If you were to break them all down, like Africa, has what is it? 50, what is it? 50? Okay, so Africa majority black, so to speak, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm talking about is like you got all of Europe that's majority white, and then
actually it's not, because the thing is this, right?
You're talking about like Spain or something.
We look at the actual population of the world. White people are just 10% of the population.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to people, human beings.
That's people, but we're talking about landmass, the ruling race of the world.
Africa, brother?
Yeah.
Africa is huge, bro.
But the ruling power force of the world is who?
The ruling power, when you talk about military might,
white, you know that. You know it's not white. If you're part of Homeland Security, you know damn well that it's not white.
So you would say the Middle Easterners because they hold oil?
No, I would say Asia for sure.
I would agree with Asia.
100%.
They move property and they move infrastructure, or not infrastructure, but they production, and they may lead in that aspect. But the ruling power of the world is still white.
No, it's not, dude. No, it isn't, dude. If you look into it, and I'm actually really surprised that you're actually telling me this kind of shit. If you say you work for Homeland Security,
I'm very surprised that you read that. I studied it.
Okay, so then you say, you studied Homeland Security.
Yeah, my degree's in Homeland Security. I don't.
Okay, so you studied. Okay, so that makes sense. Okay, so I mean, again, I'm not trying to disagree with what you're saying, like, well, whatever you understand it to be, but dude, I'm telling you, your stats or whatever you're saying is completely off, man. It's completely off. If you let me look at what we're in right now. Do you think America has actually a footing on anywhere else in the world right now? No, they don't. Mm-hmm. We're under the guise that we do, but we don't. You know that damn well. Look what's happening with the oil once it gets shut off. And come on, man. Like, no.
I don't know about genocide per se, but I'll say that the reason why some white people would claim that they're losing the bloodline and all this stuff is the amount of white people that are stepping out of the community and going to mate with other people, right? I think that's why people, when they would see that, they claim that they're losing a bloodline. But in actuality, let me just say this, the white population is actually decreasing. I won't say genocide, but I'll say it is decreasing. And minorities are increasing on a high scale because of the way the intermarriage is going on and all that stuff. So I kind of agree with some white people that says that they're losing a bloodline, but also sometimes when they say that, it sounds kind of racist.
Why does it sound racist? Is it because the word white's there? I mean, King, you know, I love you, brother. You know, I love you, man. But I know, like, why does it sound racist?
You realize that kind of racist because we're in America. And the thing is this, right? I also don't like when black people say that, oh, you got to keep the bloodline clean and you have to admit when the black.
It's not about keeping a bloodline clean. It's about, at the end of the day, it's a certain ethnic group. It's a certain group of people. That's all it is. It's like I don't have a problem. I'm in an interracial relationship myself, but my wife is indigenous. My child is indigenous. I am not a racist. I mean, people, you can call me racist all you fucking want. It really doesn't affect me on TikTok. But hold on, when you weaponize the word white, and people are so fucking scared to defend the word white, though, that's become a problem. This is becoming a problem only in North America. Actually, I should say in Western civilization is this a problem. Anywhere else, it is not. Now, do you think this is done by design? Do you think that the attacking of white people now, because of what they're saying, the atrocities that happened hundreds of years ago, right? And I agree with that. But name one other culture or what other ethnic group did not degrade a certain other group just to build up their nation? Did not incorporate a form of slavery to raise their nation up?
Yeah,
every group did. Every group did.
Every group did, and white actually is not. It's not even a race, and black is not even a race. It's a social construct that develops.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I don't even think white's not a race either. I agree with that too. But I mean, here we are. I mean, because people are still using that as you're just white. You don't have an opinion, and if you do have an opinion on it, you're a supremacist.
And also, let me just say it quickly, and then you can swap me out if you want to. But also, I'm not against the so-called interracial marriages and relationships. I'm not against that at all. You can marry whoever you want to marry. I'll salute you because I believe in a man finding a wife. That's it. A wife can be anything. A husband can be anything. So that's why I stand there. But also basically when I hear white or black person saying, "Oh, we should keep our bloodline clean and we must marry who we look like," that I'm completely against. Like, don't tell someone else what to do with their lives. Let it. We in 2023. You marry whoever you want to marry. That's your business. Move on with your life. Move on with my life.
I agree. I agree with you. I agree with you.
Everybody say that.
Red, what's your thoughts?
Agree whatever everybody say that.
I agree with you 1,000%, and I think the people that are disagreeing, they're disagreeing on the concept of the word genocide because they don't recognize it as you're being unalived when you actually are. If we look at the military, what the military is doing everywhere, not just here, not just Ukraine, militaries everywhere are just getting away with killing. I don't want to say the color, but your people, they're getting away with it. Nobody's making a big deal out of it anywhere. And then at the same time, you've been under attack by feminism and the LGBTQIAXWTUV. You guys are being under attack, and everybody sitting here telling you that you're not is just ridiculous. Because you can look at the numbers. You can go online and watch white people get unalived by any military you pick, and you just go ahead and pick one. You can watch them get unalived for hours, and nobody's making a big deal of it. The media's not saying anything. When it happens, it's happening to my people too. But when it happens to my people, there's at least outrage. When it happens to you guys, it's crazy that we're living in a society where we can see all of this stuff every single day, and everybody's going to sit here and tell you, "Hey, no, this isn't happening."
I just had a thought. The same people that are advocating for keeping your bloodline pure, that statement earlier, seem to be the same ones that are getting rid of their children. I've noticed this, and it was just a thought that came to my mind.
My question to that thought, and I appreciate you bringing that up, but my question to that thought again too, Red, and I appreciate you coming in and saying what you did. Not because I need an echo chamber, but tell me what the difference between, say, black folks saying, "I want to," you should be dating only black people. Are they what are they considered to be if they were to say that statement?
Every other race is allowed to say it, except you. Every other race. Exactly. Every other race can say it. Chinese people say it all day and night. Indians say it all day and night. Even Africans. In Africa, they say if you're Somalian, you go get your Somali wives. They're going to tell you that everybody else does it. But when you do it, you're going to get attacked for it. They're going to deplatform you. They're going to try to make you lose your job. They're attacking you. They're literally attacking you. We can sit here and act like it's not, but
it is, bro.
That's my whole premise to the conversation.
Brett, I have a question.
Go ahead, Sharon.
Even if my preference was to date a black man, I would still get attacked. Would I not still get attacked by black women for saying that I'm taking black men from them?
I mean, they're coming at you guys from a lot of angles. It's not one angle they're coming at. They're not coming at one angle. Especially for the white male, you guys are barely allowed to talk in society at this point. Clearly,
the chat is showing that. You see that? How many times have you seen me called a racist?
They are trying to take everything, and I can understand why you would be a little. I would be a little weirded out by that too. I mean, we look at the structures of power and how much has changed even over the last 10, 15 years. You guys are down bad, and it's getting crazy. Like, you're not defending yourself. Like, you come up here and then everybody attacks you. You're not even defending yourself. You guys
I'm getting attacked by people of my same, like my white people. This is fucking sad that I have somebody I have two. Hold on, yeah, exactly, white saviors. I'm getting attacked by a lot of these white people, and I'm being defended by melanated
Black
guys.
men.
What the fuck is that all about? Like,
because as somebody who's seen and felt depression, I know what it looks like. And I when I sit here and I see you can watch feminists all day sit here and go at men, the same men that are killing themselves to protect them. You can watch the LGBTQIA go at men. You haven't done anything to these people, but they're mad at you for shit that happened hundreds of years ago. I can't. I'm not going to sit here and let them do that and act like it's not happening because I can see it happening. The numbers are showing you that it's happening. The guest before me just said you guys were the #1 race. You're not even the top 4. You're second only to indigenous people.
exactly.
You guys at the bottom.
We are.
You guys at the bottom at like 14%. And that's if we looked at the world 100 years ago. You look at those declining number. Who's killing them? All the militaries. All militaries everywhere are getting away with it. Nobody cares when it happens. If we sat here and we bombed Africa, there would be outrage. If we sat here, we bombed Asia, there would be outrage. But people can sit here and they can bomb Ukraine and they can bomb Russia and they can bomb Germany and they can go ahead anywhere. Come on, like just look at the stats.
But they don't want to. See, the thing, this is the indoctrination that and the narrative that I was speaking about. I mean, again, how does it make sense that only Western civilization has the word being inclusive, has the word of adapting and diversity? Why is it that only Western society has those words and uses those words whenever new population come in? Now, don't get me wrong. You're more than well. I mean, I believe everyone should have a fair chance at anything they want to do in the world. I agree with that 100%. I don't think that the one piece of land belongs to one certain group. I don't believe that at all. Sure. However, if you are going to move to that said piece of land, adapt to the fucking culture. Adapt to it.
If it was only diversity, if it was only like people marrying outside their race, I'd be like, fuck you, dude, shut the fuck up. But like, you guys are being attacked on every front.
Exactly. And all you guys are asking me to bring in a certain person. I'm going through my list as it shows up. Nobody's more important than others.
Can I just add this? Then I promise I will drop because I got some things to end up. I had to pull over to speak to you on this. I am completely against the so-called police brutality that's going on in America. I see what recently happened. I'm completely against it. I don't care whether it's black cops or white cops or green cops or Asian cops. I don't give a damn. If they are bad cops, I'm completely against them, 100%. Right? But we also need to understand that black people are not the only person or the only group of people that are experiencing police brutality. The number one group of people that are experiencing police brutality is actually white males that experiencing police brutality and being unalived by police people. And we're not talking about that, but we'll always make the news when it's a white cop with a black person. And I mean, let us talk across the board. Let us handle the situation as it is and not as how our feelings dictate, right? I don't care if nobody feels in the comments. They can lie, they can say it's not true, but you can go and check it out.
Right. White
males are the one that been unalived the most by police officers in the
No, I'm a white male. I can tell you straight right now that we're being all white people are being silenced. You can't say the word white without sounding like a white supremacist, which I am not. I am proud of who I am. What I am. I was born this way. It is what it is.
So I want to scream about United States citizenship. I don't care about, I have an accent. If you want to scream about citizenship as a United States citizen, then Obama was born in Kenya. Then Obama is not American either. But anyway, I'm out of here because I don't want stupidity. I don't want to get pissed off with your audience. But I would just want to say, facts is facts. Check the FBI website. White males have been unalived by white cops the most in America. God bless you all. I'm done.
All right. Bless you, brother. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. What's up, Mexican?
Hey, how you doing, sir?
Good. How are you?
Good. Just wondering about the 18-inch equalizer you had yesterday. Why isn't it on the show today?
That's for a different topic, buddy. That's a different topic altogether. Trust me, I'll bring it out if I have to. I'll start doing some whipping here.
I just think it's funny too. The comments. Someone told me to get real and to stay in my race.
You should put him on the show, like his own box, and then I'll introduce him like this.
All right, this is not satirical. Mexican girl, this is not satirical today. This is actually a very serious conversation I wanted to have. So, but I appreciate you coming in, brother. Thank you. All right, moving forward here. All right, what's your thoughts on this, Wayne?
I'm kind of curious of what do you mean by genocide?
It's a word I wanted to use because I know it brings in a lot of people are very uncomfortable with around that word. But I would have to say, when people say that diversity is the only way to move forward, I think diversity is just another word for genocide, to snuff out a certain group.
Well, I mean, I don't necessarily agree with the word genocide, but I mean, this is your life. I would definitely say that we could definitely say that there's probably a lot of what's it called? Y'all face definitely a lot of prejudice because I can see how the narrative of race could definitely be taken out of context, especially if we were talking about America politics, right? I do acknowledge that, sorry, I'm getting into my car real quick.
Yeah.
So I can acknowledge that like there are some people in this country that I'm not sure where everybody's from, but in America, I can acknowledge that there are some people who are white who do wrongly get accused for being racist. A lot of the times that's because a lot of people don't try to listen to whatever it is that they're trying to talk about. And I do feel like there are some people who don't word their statements correctly to where it does come out wrong. And I feel like that could be said on both narratives, right? But I would say the only reason why a lot of people will probably assume that this is probably taking in a racist stance, I guess you say, and I'm not calling you racist because I don't know who you are. I'm barely getting to talk to you, so I'd like to be fair about that.
I'm not racist at all.
I feel the only reason why anybody would assume, I'm not saying you are. I'm just, again, I don't be throwing that word out just cause, right? So I feel like the only reason why somebody or anybody in the comment section would probably think that this is a racist topic is only because it kind of falls in the lines of the replacement theory. And I feel like
that's not a replacement theory. The reason why it comes off as a racist topic is because we weaponize the word white. That's why. That's the only reason, and you know that as well as I do.
I don't see. It wasn't. No, I don't see. The thing is, it wasn't the word white that caught my attention. It was genocide. It
okay, so if I was to
change
the word white, period, if I was to change the word white to any other color, would you feel the same way?
No, not at all.
Exactly. You wouldn't feel the same way. It's just because the word white's there.
No, it's the word genocide, because whenever we go to school, we learn about genocide. We know that whenever genocide is happening towards other groups of people, it's normally towards those who are normally being oppressed, or whenever it's somebody who is practically with little to no kind of representation within our own government. Like we can talk about the Jewish people, right? Like we also know that Jewish people were quote unquote genocide, right? Like could we agree to that?
Yeah, and I say it's a modern day genocide. I'm not referring to the old genocide that they were talking about. I'm talking about concentration camps. I'm talking about the slow yet happening genocide. That's like what would you call the group that's literally disappearing before your eyes due to what? What do you think? What do you think the factors are? What do you think the cause of this is?
I mean, like when you say genocide, are you talking about white people being unalived? Or are we talking about people being birthed into
in a sense, they are being unalived. In a sense, we're getting thrown this certain narrative that abortion's fine. It's okay. We're getting GMOs that are inside the food that we eat that are killing us off at an alarming rate.
Right. That's
you have people that are.
Right?
Hold on. This is only Western civilization I'm talking about. I'm not talking about just straight up U.S. and Canada. I'm talking about Western civilization.
Right.
You have Australia, Germany. You have other European countries. A lot of them, literally, we're losing. You're losing a demographic of people at an alarming rate. What would you call that? Would you call that being inclusive? Would you call that being, like kumbaya kind of a moment? Because it isn't. Like I'd be advocating for this for any ethnic group or any group out right now that would be on such a decline. I would be wondering what the hell is going on. Why is this group on such a decline right now? And why the hell is every other group on the rise? Every other ethnic group seems to be doing just fine, except for the white people. Why is that? That's my question.
Right. So, So, like you brought up the whole GMOs and all that kind of stuff, which would be fed to all people across the world, or even Australia, people of color in Australia or New Zealand, right? Like you brought that up. So,
yes,
I believe that if we're talking about government issue things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
no,
so
I'm talking about a narrative that's being pushed.
Groups of people.
I'm sure.
Okay,
I'm talking about a narrative, dude. I'm talking about the narrative that's being pushed about the inclusive, like being.
No. I want to have the conversation.
Okay, so if get rid of the word genocide, for instance, okay, and replace it with the word. Replace it with the word. So let's just say you have to be not acceptance, but Christ, I'm just sorry, I just have a brain fart right now. Not inclusive, but diverse. Diverse. Let's replace it with the word diverse.
Uh-huh.
All right. What other group out there has their governments or their people talking about being diverse and to be equal with everybody else? What other? And I'm not saying equal on the path of being a human being. I'm talking about on diversity in itself, like accepting all these people from all over the fucking world to come into that country and start dictating how that country works and starts running. Name one other country that does that. Name one.
I mean, I don't necessarily know any other countries that are doing that. I mean, I don't know any countries they are.
There is no other country. Only Western civilization is pushing this narrative. Only Western civilization. Everywhere else, no, not even close. So why is that? Now, that to me is the snuffing out of a certain demographic group. Am I wrong?
Okay. I mean, I guess in your way, you wouldn't be wrong. I mean, I still don't I don't quite follow exactly how this could be just targeted towards white people.
Because it's white people that are on the decline. It's the only group of that's actually on a massive decline.
Can I ask where you got, like, where's your percentage? Like, what makes you think that, like, white people are on a decline?
Sure. You can ask, have you ever heard of bookings before?
Yeah.
Sorry, Brookings.edu. Go look on that. It's very simple to look it up. You can see it right then, right there. The year of the whites become a minority group and the age that they're going to be by the year 2060, 60 plus, the age of 60 plus, we will be considered a minority group in the world, in the entire world. We used to be 35% of the entirety of the world.
Okay.
So
Okay. And then
Now we're less than 10
is this
in 100
based?
years.
Is this based on like census percentages?
It's based on it's categorizing itself from the past 100 years up to present. And if we were to continue this rate, where we would be. So yes.
Right. And I see a lot of flaws in this argument, but one major flaw though, I will say, is that the US Census has allowed since the 2000s has allowed a lot of like people to check off when they're asking like what race or what do you identify as. A lot like the US has allowed people to check off more than one box, right?
So explain Europe then. Explain Canada. Explain Australia. Explain New Zealand.
Canada,
Explain Germany.
Okay, I'm from Canada. Canada's 70% white.
So am I. I know it's not.
Yes, it is. That's a literal fact. You can look it
No,
up.
I'm literally looking at it. You can literally go to Canada.org and check it out yourself. Go to that yourself. I literally just checked all of this, so you're completely wrong. It's not 70% white. Sorry,
it is
but no.
70% white.
Okay. Thanks for coming in. I appreciate it, matey.
Okay,
All right, moving
so-
forward. We're gonna move on. We're gonna move forward. Okay. But this guy's been waiting a while. All right. What's up?
Not much about you guys.
I'm doing all right. Dwayne, do you have anything more to say before I'm gonna move somebody else in?
Yeah, no. I was just curious. I mean, again, like I'm not trying to place labels on anybody. I'm just curious of what exactly this talking point was. But much respect to y'all. I hope y'all have yourselves a great rest of the day.
Yeah, you as well, buddy. Thanks for coming in, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, okay. There we go. We're gonna move one more person in here, guys. We're gonna have Critical. I think if you want to speak, you're more than welcome to speak now. Go for it, bud.
Sure. So, I mean, you're not inaccurate about the fact that the growth of white people in proportional to other people groups across the world is slowing. They're not actually declining. There's not less white people. White people are still populating at about like a rate of 2.1 persons.
It's actually 1.9. It's sorry, it's 1.7.
Is it on 1.7? I'll verify that.
Yeah, verify.
I'll look that up as well. But one thing that you're missing is that there's the assumption that this is like something genocidal related, but we can like investigate and see why this is happening. And the primary reason as to why this is happening is simply wealth. The gap between white people and every other people group like all across the entire world has been expanding pretty drastically, and it has for the past 60 years.
So hold on. You're saying white people are rich? You're saying the white people are the rich ones?
Yes, white people proportionally are much wealthier than any other racial group across the entire world. And what wealth creates,
Big Dynasty itself it surpasses any white person's wealth.
I'm talking about on average. If you take the average income of the average white person, and then you compare that to the average income of every other racial demographic, you're going to find the white people greatly succeed all of them by an almost exponential amount. So what this allows is when people
US dollar.
Yeah. So that's I'm accounting for purchasing parity
That
power.
is-
Yes,
that is-
you do. No, it is. You do PPP analysis and all of this.
You're throwing a lot of shit out there, which I'm fundamentally disagreeing with. One for saying, are you talking about per capita? Is that what you're talking about? Because we're at less than 10% in the world. So you're saying less than 10% of the people are making more than 90%? Is that what you're saying?
Well, yes, of course. I don't know about more than 90%. I'm not sure what the exact percentage is, but of course I'm talking about per capita. Because again, we're comparing like if you're the average white individual, what is your wealth going to be, and what is your purchasing power going to be with where you live? And across the board, white people have more wealth than every other racial
Western
demographic.
civilization is what you're talking about. So let's get our facts straight real quick. You're talking about Western civilization and the means of living. Is that what you're saying? So if you're comparing us to say Africa, right? How can you possibly make that comparison? It's apples and oranges, bud.
So that's what Dutch just brought up. The term is parity purchasing power. The idea that you actually have to compare the amount of wealth in terms of what it purchases in the economy that you live in. Even accounting for that, white people still make more money across the board than like any other racial demographic. But the point that I can pull up data for this if you want. But the point that I'm trying to make with this is that let me get to the point real quick. Let me get to the point. So the point that I'm trying to make with this is that wealth decreases your birth rate. The reason is because wealth gives you access to communities, to opportunities, to capital that allows you to have a broader range of experiences, which means that people are often less tied to family. Poor people have insanely fucking high birth rates, and that's because things like legacy, things like security for the future aren't able to be secured by capital because they don't have enough capital. What it is that they need children to be able to carry on their family tree, and hopefully when they're old, have people to take care of them. Additionally, a lot of countries have benefits for having children as well, so that kind of helps poor people out as is. So because of that, the idea of it being about some type of genocidal factor that's causing the decline in birth rates for white people just isn't true. It's them being really fucking wealthy. Which
Okay, so let me come back at you on something real quick before you start going on another tangent there. Let me ask you this then. So if what you're saying then is that Western civilization, because they're doing well, that is the reason for decline. Yet we have this narrative of being diversive, consistently being diversive, and all accepting to say other demographics, right? Diverse to other demographics of people that they come in. Now, what exactly are you saying that other demographic people that say live in the United States, they're not doing as well as say their white counterparts? Is that what you're saying? Because I would fundamentally disagree. Asians that come to the United States are doing better than white people. What are you talking about?
Wait, sure. So non-continental immigrants, so immigrants that don't come from either the North American continent or the South American continent, tend to be insanely wealthy. So either they're African or Asian. And by the way, this applies for Nigerians. So Nigerian immigrants who come to the U.S. are wealthier than the average white person in the U.S. The reason is because the immigrants that come over tend to be highly educated. They tend to already be wealthy because they can afford to move out away from their communities. And the same thing applies to Asian demographics as well. So yeah, of course, those groups are going to be wealthier.
You literally just said what I'm saying, though, but you're just reversing the words around a little bit. But at the end of the day, if you have 2 billion people that are Asians versus how many people are in North America? 350 million plus, no, sorry,
about
North America.
400.
No, that's not North America. That's the United States. Sorry, not North America. 35. Okay, 500 million. How do you even compare the two? You can't. You can't compare the two. 2 billion versus, let's say, 500 million. There is no comparison whatsoever.
What do you mean?
You're saying that it's fundamentally different. No, it's just the way of life. It's the way it's okay. You also have people that are working in North America that work 40 to 80 hours a week versus those that don't, versus those that are staying at home. So this is my question. Is this the problem? Is this where the issue lies?
Can I just say, like, what actually is your point? Because white people obviously aren't being genocided.
How can you say obviously aren't? How can you say that?
Because genocide is the deliberate killing of a large number of people.
How do you know it's not being deliberate? How do you know it's not deliberate?
Because immigrants, not immigrants, a faster growing population in Africa because of a plethora of reasons, and in the West, and wealthier countries, you have like a massive bus population, then they get older, and then the other generation have less and less kids. You have less people. So it's not genocide, it's just,
by the way,
it's less white people now, and there's more colored people.
And a proof of this is that this applies within the white demographic, by the way. You know that poor white people have significantly higher birth rates than rich white people? Like this applies within the demographic too. It's not an element of racial divide. This is simply an issue of wealth.
Would that be overwhelmingly conquering then said land by just through birth rights? Is that what you're saying is happening then? Because name any other country that isn't Western civilization that people are flocking to right now at a ridiculous rate?
Well, yeah, the reason is because Western civilization is very, very wealthy. There's a lot of opportunities present in Western.
It's the way that it's built. It's the way that it was built. It has nothing to do with wealth. It has everything to do with the way that it was built, the technology, the advancements of said country. People want to move because obviously what's happening in their country isn't working out very well for them. Is that correct? Would you say that would be a fair statement? They want to have the American dream or the Western civilization dream, whether it be in Australia, whether it be anywhere in Europe, whether it be Canada, United States. Would you say that would be a fair statement?
You're not wrong, but again, I don't get what the point you're trying to say here is. So you're just upset that people.
I'm not upset at all. I'm asking a question, MC, but thanks for coming in, buddy. Right. I'm not upset though. See, I'm trying to have a conversation. I'm not in any shape, way, or form upset by anything. As soon as I put up the word white, people get triggered thinking I'm a supremacist just because I use the word white. And it's a very true statistic. It's a sad statistic what's happening, but it's nonetheless, it's very true.
So the idea that it's purely, I think you're referring to like culture, that's the reason that people come to the U.S. Just isn't true. But we can do surveys of people who are immigrants to the U.S. from areas in the Middle East, from areas in Africa, from areas in Central and South America, and we ask them the reasons as to why they come to the U.S. And all the reasons they cite are relating to either political turmoil in their country or due to financial issues. Those are the two primary reasons why people immigrate to the U.S. or to other Western nations. In terms of the finances, the free, okay, no, that's not the only.
Yeah, and to free themselves of socialism, but go ahead.
No, they don't come to free themselves of socialism. That's not.
I've talked to a whole bunch of them that say they definitely fled South America to get away from socialism, but go ahead.
Well, if you want, I can bring up data that shows that they're doing it for financial and political turmoil reasons. That's why.
Political turmoil, would that be socialism that I was referring to, or Marxism? Which one?
So no, it's neither of those. So political turmoil is just going to be a broad term referring to any type of conflict between political parties. A lot of this is ethnic conflicts, for example, or it's in the Middle East. We're looking at like Syrian
I'm talking
refugees.
About South America. Wait, let's not jump off South America. I know how you like to run. Let's talk about having ethnic political problems in South America, or is it political? Is it socialism?
Wait, where from what country?
Brazil.
Country
Let's take Brazil for example right now. Are they fighting against globalist Marxist troops like it says on the news, or are they just making that up?
Fighting against globalist Marxist troops.
Yeah.
Excuse? No, I do not think that people are coming from Brazil because they're fighting
Oh,
against
you,
globalist Marxist truths. Do you have any
oh,
citations for this?
yeah, I saw it on the news. I don't know. I could look up some articles for you.
Thanks,
They're
Greg.
openly saying
You saw
saying
it
that's
on the news.
yeah. Yeah,
So
buddy.
what we have
What do you
is, so are you referring to like semi-communist projects? Like, are you talking about like Cuba? Or are you talking like what?
I
Are
don't
you,
know.
like,
I guess I'm talking about Brazil. They were saying that Brazil is now fighting against factions of like globalist Marxist troops that have been like kind of brought in and like stirring shit up.
So yeah, American. I don't know what you're referring to. If you're referring to like OAN or Newsmax type of like journalistic coverages,
Guys, let's not get off the topic. Let's not get off the topic.
I'm talking about like what's going on with socialism in South America, and you just want to duck, dodge, and dip. Like those people that come here from South America are fleeing like oppressive systems, governmental systems like socialism, and you can't deny that shit. They get here and they hate the left because you guys advocate for socialism. But go ahead.
No. Okay. So
yeah.
They don't. So a lot. But to be fair, there are some people that come here, like the Cuban demographic. A lot of the Cubans that come here are anti-socialist, but a lot of it's because they happen to be wealthy. They came from the country as they were wealthy because they were often business landowners and landlords who did not like the type of policies presented by socialists who wanted to rectify some of the wealth inequality. So they were upset and they decided to come over to the U.S. So that's one of the big reasons. And we find similar instances in Venezuela or a lot of other countries. And to be fair, there are failed socialist projects. A lot of people do come from failed socialist projects, but restricting it down. Restricting it down to
you can see that a lot of people come from South America.
But again, and if you want to talk about socialism, we can. We're talking about white genocide. We can definitely dive into socialism and the way that
you guys
socialist
are all off
projects.
topic. I thought I could just jump in where you guys were off topic.
No, I'm talking.
It wasn't off topic.
There's, I mean, what you're saying right now critically, and I'm not talking to you, Amir, I'm talking critically here. That's what his name says. You're throwing out a lot of negative statements, man. A lot. I mean, mostly rich people. That is fundamentally untrue. That is not true whatsoever.
I can pull up data there, too. The majority of
whatever the fuck you want to pull up, dude. But I can pull up the same shit.
Okay.
The same shit that would actually deny what you're saying as well. And I've looked at this. I've looked at the statistics myself as well. Anybody that has half a brain, like myself, I have a half a brain. You can look up exactly what's happening, and it's not mostly rich people. That's bullshit. Or well-off people. That is complete horseshit.
I'd say the people that are like enjoying socialism in Cuba probably just fine to stay in there. I'd say it's the poor people trying to get away from being the have-nots that are fleeing Cuba. But that's a cool story you got about stats and stuff.
Right.
Sure.
I'm really glad I get a lot of white apologetics in my group right now. This is fucking awesome. I'm so glad you guys are so happy that you guys are actually like on the decline. Way to go.
The difference is because I'm not
try me, you'll see. The only thing I have to say about this is I understand your point of view, Mark, like white people being experiencing modern day genocide. So the way I'm going to put it, so I understand what you're trying to say. Obviously, genocide is, if you're talking like, because whenever people hear the word genocide, they talk about like violent crimes and like trying to exterminate a population, so on and so forth. But what I'm trying to say is, there is a very, very, especially in industrialized countries. I don't want to use the word the first world or whatever. Canada, the U.S., in Europe, and lots of countries in Europe, where they're trying to look at society through a racial lens. Okay, demonizing especially people by their skin color in the name of anti-racism and inclusivity, which to me is completely bullshit and ridiculous and actually racist yourself. And people will argue that racism, you can be racist to white people. Bullshit. Okay, look at the fucking definition. Don't give me that bullshit of power structure and shit like that. That's irrelevant. Okay, so the thing is, a lot of people are trying to look at society through a racial lens and say that everything is I'm going to use that word that I hate, the cis white male in industrialized country, probably Christian's fault. This is the typical oppressor. And people are going to look at society through that lens and try to say that, oh, it is their fault. And I look at the comments right now, and I look at, the radical left has done an absolutely great job. I'm not talking about the left, I'm talking about the radical left, indoctrinating people to say hateful stuff and to say that, oh, if you're white, therefore you must feel this way. You are born with privilege and you are an oppressor. And if you don't agree, therefore you are racist, transphobic, homophobic, name it. All sorts of phobia. People are trying to self-proclaim themselves as psychiatrists, trying to diagnose you with some sort of ism or phobia of some sort. I think it is disgusting. I think we must have, if you want to look at society, we have some sort of like a lobbyism is one of the problems. I get that and I understand that. I will fight against that, and I do advocate for fighting injustices against all discrimination, whether they're racially motivated or not. But to try to use the composition fallacy or the hasty generalization, to me, is laughable. It's fifth grade rhetoric, and people that don't understand and cannot think outside the box for a second and try to put everybody of a certain skin color in the same boat, and they're trying to do that all the time, you will lose in court. A lawyer will laugh at you. A judge with half a brain cell will laugh at you in any court case because you are incapable of thinking outside the box. Now, this being said, there are good people and there are bad people, regardless of race, religion, skin color, so on and so forth. So yes, right now, in the name of inclusivity, right now, there is a narrative that is being pushed that people of a certain skin color, the lighter skin color, white people or whatever you want to call them, are supposed to feel, are supposed to be an oppressor, and so on and so forth. Even the regular dude that's been working and whatever it is that barely comes to his family, he's racist because he's white, he's this because he's white. That is disgusting. There are some bad people.
The the good and bad people everywhere is like, to me, is just a little bit trivial. It's just like, okay, sure, there are good and bad people everywhere. The point of when we're talking about these is we're trying to see why is it that certain people in society are much more better off than other people in society? Why is it that certain demographics with trivial characteristics, because again, race is a bunch of trivial, nonsensical characteristics. Race is arbitrary, it's socially constructed. Why is it that certain people from certain racial demographics are much better off than others? And during that analysis, we try and just look at the systems in place, and why we want to rectify that and try to get equality is when there is inequality between racial demographics, it creates stereotypes, it creates assumptions about people, because if you look at like poor people, people on the news, people who are committing violence, and you notice they happen to be a certain skin color, you're going to start to formulate stereotypes in your head that perpetuates mistreatment of that demographic. So that is why we want to look at why is it that white people are doing so much better off right now, and what can we do to fix that? So that's what these questions ask about it. It's a little bit of a deviation from the conversation earlier.
Again, could you define white and like what region you're talking about where white is doing better? Just America on average, the white cis Christian male is like doing better. Like, pull some statistics up.
I mean, to be honest, basically everywhere where there is white people, they're generally doing better. Even like in
because generally where there's white people, like generally where there's black people, they're going to be doing better. Is that what you're saying?
No, that's not what I'm saying. What we're referring to is because this idea of whiteness, it's in academia, it's called whiteness. It's not talking about white people.
Hold on, let's get down the No, you like to get to the root of this. You want to no, you just want to get to the root of like you said, there's causality to certain demographics being involved in being oppressed. And so I would say that there's another underlying problem here, like I was talking about earlier, and it's called the political far left ideology called Marxism. Donald Trump was just talking about it yesterday. They're talking about it on the Hill. They're talking about it in public schools. We're talking about it on TikTok. And you want to duck, dip, and
dodge. Can you do me a favor and define Marxism?
No, I won't. That's not your escape. I don't define communism. I don't define socialism, and I don't define little goofy ass isms for you guys every time you guys cry when I call out your bullshit.
I do love how
I want him to say his point, but when you're making a point critically, let somebody respond to it, because you're making like 5 or 6 different points that we're trying to respond to, like the first one, and you're already on your 5th. Like you have, for us to have this conversation, you have to let us, or let some people at least respond.
I understand that, but it's because I'm trying to respond to multiple points myself.
Okay, let's just do one point at a time here.
Okay,
one point at a time.
Cool. So I guess the most recent point that we're talking about is why is it that because in this analysis, why is it that white people are more successful in a variety of different countries? And I was mentioning that the data shows even in a lot of countries that are majorly non-white, white people are still better off. And you can point to
data. Like where?
I'll give you
like show me some data that says show me some data that says white people just majority do better. Like what?
Okay, sure.
Because it's semantical.
Average wealth. Okay,
right,
I'll pull this up.
A white person. It's just going to define white for us too, huh? Pull it up.
Yeah. So it's going to look at, so whiteness is either going to be defined according to a census, or it's going to be defined according to a certain ethnic group. So those are generally the two ways in which whiteness is defined. But cool. Okay, but this is important to analyze because
it's a bunch of bullshit, dude. It's class and it's not race, and you guys are a bunch of crybabies.
If it's just class, what we would find is that wealth would be equally distributed across a variety of demographics that have trivial characteristics. Unless you think that like black people are inferior to white people. If it was just about class, black people would be just as okay. I understand that academia is tough for you, but it's important to process these things.
No, we're gonna have to put an end to this garbage Marxist rhetoric, bro.
I'd recommend don't use a word that you can't define in the first place.
Oh, okay.
Anyways, on average, white people are doing better off, and the reason because of this is because European civilization through colonial.
You already proved that you can't prove that. It's like you can't even substantiate
I'll pull it up for you.
You can't. You cannot substantiate that, dude. Where in Idaho?
Then whether or not
so it really helps if I can finish the sentence in there. That's crazy.
One person.
All right. So what if he was right that the white people were doing better off? What he's saying is now the host is saying is that there's a decline in everything, right? The Asians are doing better. Everyone is beginning to do better than us, and within like another 20 to 60 years, we're going to be on the bottom. And that's a fact. Matter of fact, you guys can't even say that Africa is not as well off. They just found $13 trillion worth of gold and $55 billion given for Biden for reparations. So you can take that off the charts, right? But the fact is, what if you were right and the white people are demographically doing better? That's of now. But what we're seeing is a decline in that dramatically, and that's what we're getting.
Sure, it'll probably the ideal situation to me at least is because I don't want like any group to be subjugated or stereotyped based upon their skin color. Is that you should see an equaling out. So as Asian countries and African countries, if we stop these colonialist projects that economically exploit these countries, we should see a leveling out of wealth across the whole board. So ideally, basically any demographic that you're a part of, ethnic or racial, means that you should have relatively comparable wealth on average. That would be the ideal because it means that any differences in society are not going to be based upon people's racial or ethnic characteristics. That's what we're trying to work over.
You say a whole lot. What is a colonial project? Wait, hold on. You said a whole lot. Okay.
Sure. So one second. Let me ask a question here. I want to ask a question. Critically, what you're saying, okay, I understand what you're saying, but why is it that it's disproportionately factual that people are actually driving and moving into said Western civilization, which was prominently white, to start with, to begin with, after the fact. I'm talking about Western civilization now. I'm not talking about the U.S. lands that belong to the indigenous, none of that shit. I'm talking about straight up after the fact. I'm talking about that. Why is it that they're moving there, trying to get out of this so-called, like what you're talking about, poor means of living, and trying to do better for themselves and coming into a more advanced culture or more advanced civilization. And yet the advanced civilization is being snuffed out. I'm just saying, quote unquote, advanced, being snuffed out during the process. That everywhere you go, doesn't matter where you go now, you look and you'll see that the demographic is ridiculous of the growth of every other ethnic group besides white. The growth is substantial.
It's not because it's not because those demographics are magically all of a sudden doing better. It's actually because they're doing poorly. Overall, across the entire world, the growth rate of the entire world is slowing. It's just that for white people, it is slowing faster to the point where it's actually on, as I think
we're at less than 10% of the world. So critically,
I understand that.
Okay, so if you understand,
why is it that people are coming over to Western civilizations? And there's a shit ton of reasons for that.
Okay, why is that?
Sure, it's just because Western civilization is wealthier, and that's because Western.
No, it's not wealthier.
Oh man, I love to finish with a single sentence. Okay.
5 sentences, he's trying to respond to you. So if you give him a chance to respond, he is the host, for one. And then for two, I got to get back to work, you guys. And I just want to give a little bit of knowledge to people in the comments. A colonizer is a settlement that sends colonists. Use the term correctly. We're not colonizers, we're colonists. Get some education.
No, well, that's probably from watching Mr. Modern Warrior wait a little bit too long. All right, but at the end of the day, that's what my question is. It's like, people get triggered. All these people get triggered. What do you mean advanced? Hold on. What do you mean? They're like, what do you mean by advanced technology? We live in the same country, you fucking idiots. Okay, it's not a white and black thing. It's what we're living in. This is what we're doing. This is Western civilization. It's not white civilization. It's Western civilization. But I'm asking why people that are lighter skinned are on a massive decline. Critically, you're bringing up your thoughts. Your thoughts are not facts. They're just opinions. And I agree with you. If that's your opinion, that's your opinion. It's not factual. It's just an opinion. And great.
Okay.
So I answered. I appreciate it.
Sure. So I answered one reason, which is simply like birth rates depend on the class demographic you're a part of. The higher and this is across every racial demographic, across the board, the higher class, the lower the birth rate. So of course, white people having much more wealth than any other racial demographic across will come to the U.S. or come to other Western nations.
I know.
I already mentioned one in terms of the wealthy. Oh, hold on. I already mentioned one in terms of wealthiness. But a lot of the other problems are relating to political turmoil. A lot of that political turmoil or economic turmoil being caused by Western nations. We have global organizations like the International Monetary Fund, like the World Trade Organization. These are organizations. Dictatorship, of course, is part of it.
Right? Is that what you're saying?
So dictatorship is part of it. But we can dive into the reasons why dictatorships occur.
Huge part of it. I wouldn't say that it was Western civilization. Okay, dude, you go off on a tangent. That's why we're having a conversation. It's not one-sided, critical. It's not one-sided where you get to go off.
These are complex issues because these are complex
you don't have to
issues
do
that have a multitude.
paragraph answers. Try 3 sentences or so, and then let somebody else
complex
speak.
Problems have complex answers and complex.
It's not a complex problem, dude. It's actually quite. It's easy to see what's going on. You just are avoiding the actual issue. You're ballet dancing over the whole thing, trying to give us
it's a lot of pseudo-intellectual blah, 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 blah.
Do you want to answer the question for me then? If I don't get to answer the question with significant sociological data, can you please answer the question for me?
Sociological data, where do you just make words up as you go? You just fucking throw shit in. It's like word salad.
That's not made up.
I know it's not made up. You just any
data.
No, it's not a made up word. You're just word salad. You just throw everything the fuck in, just to make yourself. It's like pseudo-intellectual jargon. Keep talking, dude. Go ahead. You're so entertaining.
Okay. At the end of the day.
So all right. So if I'm gonna answer it, okay, who's answering it? Because I'm going to answer it. I want to talk about the wealth. I want to talk about. I want to talk. Sure. Well, no, I can. Well, again, I'm using facts. So for example, the State Department in the U.S.
If you're using anything, it's an opinion.
The State Department in the U.S. uses diplomats to be able to influence business interests abroad. So this is why we have some of the biggest diplomat infrastructure. We work with the UN to send our diplomats abroad
and who created that?
Trade deals. We did.
Who's we?
White people.
We did. The U.S. did. Every single Western European nation that's part of these larger trade blocs and part of these unions.
So not all white people.
Okay. Where do you think I'm saying? Okay, listen. You have the mentality.
Where's all this? Where's these white people?
I'm not talking. Okay, you think that I have the mentality where I'm like, white people bad, white people evil. That's not my mentality.
I know you can't even find them. You can't do it that strong because
no.
You gotta duck. You gotta be like UN, IMF. What's that even mean, bro?
Okay, so what I'm referring to is that Western nations, because of a history of colonialism and global domination, have created infrastructure that allows them to be able to dominate other nations and dictate how other nations act. They use the State Department and various other diplomacies to be able to tell the nations, adhere to our trade deals, allow our large nations to come into your country to exploit it, and just deal with the fucking corruption and shit that happens afterwards. A great example of this is Shell in Nigeria. So Shell went over to Nigeria and it bribed the officials in Nigeria for them to use the lands and get excessive land grants that took over the agricultural industry in Nigeria, causing the entire nation's agricultural industry to collapse.
What about when China does it? What about when China does the same exact thing?
China is doing, yes, exactly. So you're getting it. China's doing the same shit. They're copying the exact same shit we're doing here in the West, and it's also
but over here it's
problems.
white. But here it's called white supremacy. Wait, stop. You got right there. No, stop right there. If in China, what's it called? If here it's called white supremacy, what's it called over there?
Okay, so
okay, we're gonna dodge that one. No. Why are you gonna dodge this? Why is it a race issue? Why is it a race issue? It's white colonialism. What is it over there? Is it Chinese imperialism? What is it?
So everyone has the capacity. Everyone, hold on. Let me answer the question. If you want me to answer the question, you got to be able to stop talking for once. So any body can be imperialist. Any group of people can be imperialist. When we talk about whiteness, we're referring to the specific type of imperialism that was set off in the 1500s that created this massive global superstructure where the West is the dominating factor in the globe. So if you want to talk about issues of China, we can look at
like British royals. Like that's where the white. I'm trying to get to the root of your whiteness. Like it's like royal families in Europe, like British, like lords. Like what is this whiteness?
I feel like y'all should mute the guy spamming Jew talk. I don't think anti-Semitism is a great thing.
Who's this one? Who's doing that?
Hate speech 1984.
All right. No, we're not playing that bullshit. Okay. Goodbye.
So
goodbye. All right. Okay, hold on. So I want to interject here just real quick. Thank you. I mean, I'm trying to let you guys speak, but you guys are speaking over top of each other like time and time again. We can't really get through a proper conversation here. We're not debating. I'm not going to debate. We're having a conversation. That's all it is. Right. My question being, again, it still is, it's not being answered is, okay, for instance, what is the youngest country that we know of right now? Which is not even country, but the United States is relatively a baby when you look at the rest of the world, correct?
African countries are far younger than the U.S. The struggle for Africa.
I would say Africa would be probably the oldest that has been around, correct?
Africa's not a country. If Africa's not the youngest country.
Continent. Okay. My bad. I apologize.
Egypt.
Egypt is pretty old. Okay, but I'm just saying for first world countries that are coming into power, USA would not be on the top of the list for being around the longest. Would that be a correct statement?
Sure, but we're the largest.
Okay, so let me finish what I'm going to say before you ask. Let me finish what I'm about to say. My question is, if we're stuck, if we're so bad, if Western civilization is so terrible and so bad, why are people flocking to it? Why are other ethnicities, other ethnic groups, other cultures trying to flock into Western civilization?
So I think it's a bad way of viewing things when you just say Western civilization bad. It's too simplistic. So when we're criticizing,
you got to stop. You're diving so fucking deep into like just exactly what American Indians into this word salad shit.
Complex
I'm asking you a question. Okay, you don't see people literally lining up and waiting years to get into Africa or China or even Russia. You don't see that shit anywhere else. Why is it only in the Western civilization? And my other question is, it's being overtaken by other cultural and ethnic groups. It really is. And if you're to say no, it's not, then you're fucking blind to what's going on.
That doesn't answer. Wait, but that doesn't even answer the question you asked. You asked why is it that people are flocking to Western countries?
Yes, there's several questions that I posed, but yes, that's the question that I'm asking.
I can answer. Can I answer?
Go ahead.
Can you guys hear me? Okay, good. I'm one of those guys. Okay. I immigrated to Canada. I was a baby. My parents immigrated to Canada at the end, late 70s. And they wanted to go towards a better life, so they went to Canada. So this is my family and all my extended family that immigrated from Egypt to Canada and the US. This was their reason for a better life. That's all I can say from my perspective.
Can I just answer?
You can answer the question in a second critically. You're coming from like what you said, Amir. Your family moved for a better life. So then why the fuck are we, as everyone up in arms in Western civilization, about how shitty their life is here, or how bad things are here?
It's because they're looking at society through. They're going to come to. This is the problem. Okay, you have a lot of people. Okay, they can be immigrants or they can be natives, indigenous people, or white people, or whatever you want to call it. And there are a lot of people that come and they force. There's this shitty, disgusting, cancerous narrative by seeing society through a racial lens, and I advocate against that. I am 100% against that. Stop blaming black people or white people or whatever it is. You can blame the lobbyists. Exactly. We're giving a great example critically. We're saying about Shell, whatever that are bribing. That's lobbyism. I'm against that 100%. But stop using people. I want them to. I urge people to stop using the composition fallacy and the hasty generalization, because that's exactly what the Nazis did with the Jews. It's horrible. Stop doing that. It's dangerous. It's a cancerous narrative.
Hold on, are you comparing what people are talking about when it comes to the Western civilization not being 100% right for everyone to what the Nazis were saying?
No, that's what you're saying. No, I'm not saying that. Just listen to my words.
It's not
Listen to my words. My words are pretty simple. My words were pretty clear. I'm talking about generalizing someone through their skin color or their ethnicities in bad things is extremely dangerous, like the Nazis did. I'm not comparing anything to that. I'm just using this as an analogy, and it's wrong to do it. Whether it's for Nazism, whether it's other things, stop doing that. That's all I'm saying. So please do not try to switch word and to strawman me, because I never said that. And even though you're trying to put
Petty Crunch, real quick. Hold on, Punch, real quick. Petty Crunch, your mic is cutting out a lot. We can't hear you very well.
I'm sorry, man. No, I'm just trying to understand here. I'm just trying to make sure. It's like, I don't want,
It would be the same thing that Mao did when he used critical race. It was the same thing that Mao did recently when he did a genocide, convinced his people that some had inherent privilege, critical race theory.
Did you say Mao used critical race theory?
Yes, I did.
Do you know when the Great Leap Forward was? I'll take that as a no. It was during the
No, I was on mute. I know it was. No, I know it was an event. He used the form of it. Yes, I know what he did.
Okay, what was the form of it?
He pretended like some people were born with inherent privilege. Did he not?
Okay.
Did he not? So did he not tell some people they were born with inherent privilege or not?
No, Mao.
Yes, they fucking did, dude.
The privilege based
on Mao was a Marxist. I can
bloodline.
Bloodline. Can I talk to? I'd like to respond to what Pun said. Real quick. So when you simply say people want to move to Western countries or the U.S. for a better life, that is severely under-analytical. You're not looking why the life in the U.S. they're perceiving to be better, why the life that they're currently living is worse. You're not answering any of those questions. The whole point of this analysis is to say, why is it that in other countries the lives of those populations are worse, so they choose to go to
I think
other
you're missing
nations?
what the last guy just said about how dangerous it can be. You're missing the whole point about how dangerous this rhetoric can be to say that some people are born with inherent privilege and not really looking at the problem. Like, we're beyond this. You Marxists done missed us by like at least 20, 30, 50 years probably. You're coming back around. It's a little too late for all this nonsense, dude. We're going through some real economic crisis, and we don't have time to listen to you cry about how you want to bring back in all these forms of nonsense.
You're not even in the same. Hold on, you're not even in the same ballpark of the conversation. You're making something personal. It's not productive.
How is it personal?
I don't think you understand
This is what we're talking about. This is what we're talking about. It's not personal. This is what we're talking about.
Marxism is, dude.
Okay, cool. I don't know what communism is. I don't know what socialism is. You guys are right. Why don't you define it?
No, I'm being serious because you're very loosey-goosey with the terminology.
The far, okay, I'll say far radical leftist ideology. Is that loosey-goosey enough to stay within the? You don't want me to define it? Okay, cool.
I haven't done a kickflip in years.
Listen. I know where critical race theory comes from. I know it comes from Marxism and radical feminism.
Critical race theory. Tell me the